Hello friendos and randos, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about one of the ST10 leaders, Red Purple Kid. His effect is, on your turn, if you have 4 life or more, this leader gains minus 1000 power. And then when attacking Dawn -1, this leader gains 2000 power for the turn. So his leader effect is super generic, there's no real need to play any specific cards within the deck. It doesn't really lock you into things like Red Purple Law, where you have to play a lot of 4 cost characters and a lot of power reduction. You can just play really strong cards. There are really strong Red or Purple cards. So here are the cards that I've been running currently, and I'm also going to be showing you a few of the other versions that I've tested so far. So I'm going to talk about the primary engines first. So first you have the Kid Pirates engine. So Kid Pirates, the most important card is the 5 cost Blocker Kid. 5 cost Blocker Kid's effect is Blocker, as well as on your turn, once per turn, when you return Dawn from your Dawn deck, you get 1 Dawn active. So this works really well with your leader effect. So if you attack and you use your leader effect, you can get your 7k swings a lot earlier with the 5 cost Kid. And you're able to actually swing for 6k on your 5 Dawn turn, even before you have hit 3 life with your leader effect. So that's nice to have. Next we have one of the early game options, which is Heat. Heat is a card from ST10. His effect is, on your turn, once per turn, if Dawn is returned from your board to your Dawn deck, then this character gains 2000 power till the start of your next turn. So he's essentially a 3 cost 6k power unit, and it goes really well synergizing with the 5 cost Kid and your leader effect. So you can play this on 3 Dawn, and then after that and then 5 cost Kid on your 5 Dawn turn. You attack and use your leader effect for 6k, and then Heat also attacks for 6k. So this is the general starting curve that you want. So 3 Dawn Heat, 5 Dawn Kid, and then leader attack with leader effect, and then Kid attack. And then Heat attack. And then after you've played the Heat and then the 5 cost Kid, the next card you want to see is the 7 cost Kid. 7 cost Kid's effect is, on play or when attacking, Dawn -1, give your leader plus 1000 power until the start of your next turn. So it synergizes very well in this specific line. So you go Heat into Kid again. So that way on the 5 Dawn turn you get 2 6k swings, and then on the 7 Dawn turn you get another 2 6k swings with the Heat as well as the Kid effect. To make all of this much more consistent, to ensure that you try and get this line as often as possible, we're running the 1 cost Killer Searcher. So this is Killer. His effect is, on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and look for a Kid Pirates type card and add it to your hand. So to increase the consistency of finding this line every game, we're running 4 of this, and we are also running 4 of the new Searcher event. At sea you fight pirates, umi wa kaizoku ga aite da. So this event is activate main, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then add a Straw Hat Pirate, Heart Pirate, or Kid Pirates type card to your hand. So this is how we're improving the consistency of finding this line. And in order to also improve the hit rate of Killer, we're also running 4 of the 3 cost Wire Blocker. This is also another card from ST10. His effect is Blocker, and once per turn when you Dawn minus, you are able to draw 1 and discard 1. So this helps you also with cycling your hand in order to find your key cards as well. So instead of Heat on the 3 Dawn turn, you can also play down the Wire, and then on 5 you play Kid, swing, use your leader effect, get 1 Dawn back, and then use Wire to draw 1 and discard 1. I really like the 1 cost Searchers as well, because when you're using this line, you play the Kid down on 5, and then you swing with leader, you get 1 Dawn back, and you can just nice put down one of the Searchers. One other card we're running that synergizes with this Searcher is the new ST10 Blocker Law. 4 cost Blocker, on play Dawn -1. If your opponent has 7 cards or more in their hand, they discard 2. So this card is always very powerful. Being able to snipe cards out of your opponent's hand is a very, very strong thing, and can be very, very devastating if you hit some of their key cards. For example, if you're facing NL and you hit their Yamatos or Katakuris, it is very painful. Another blocker that we're running is the 5 cost Queen. This is the flagship Queen, of course. 5 cost Queen, his effect is Blocker, Dawn -1, draw 2, discard 1. So very, very good card as well. You're able to use him in conjunction with the 5 cost Kid as well in order to get 1 Dawn back. So that way you are on, for example, if you play the Kid down on 5 and then you play Queen down on 7, you have 3 Dawn now, and you can play down a Wire or you can play down Heat, which is nice as well. Okay, next is for 2k counters. For the 2k counters in this deck, I am running 4 of the OP01 Sanji. OP01 Sanji's effect is activate main once per turn. You may add the top card of your life to your hand, and then this character gains 2k power, and you may add 2 Rested Dawn to him. So this card is really good in the instances where your opponent tries to starve you out and keep you at more than 4 life forever. So you can use this to deactivate your leader effect and make you a 5k leader sooner. And it's also good aggro because it does swing for 7 against everyone as well. Many people are actually quite against playing down the Sanji and using him to swing and using his leader effect because for one, of course, he is a 2k counter, but the way I see it, as a cheap 7k swing, by sacrificing your 2k counter in hand, you're actually either forcing 3k counter from your opponent or taking a life, which is still very valuable in my opinion. Okay, the next 2k counter we have is Uso Hachi. Uso Hachi's effect is Dawn times 1 when attacking. If your board has 8 or more Dawn, you may rest a 4-cost character. So this is good for dealing with cheaper blockers, especially in Akainu, as well as for the blocker law in mirrors, purple mirrors. And for dealing with blockers in NL, so like Sanji and Brule, they're all also under 4 cost. So this is pretty helpful as well. Another alternative for this is of course the Franosuke card. The Franosuke 2k counter is 5 cost, 4k power, Dawn times 1. If your board has 8 or more Dawn, this character gains Rush. I personally prefer the Usohachi in this deck specifically because I think Frankie is really expensive for the Rush. But again, I think either of them are pretty decent choices. You could even go 2 and 2, doesn't really matter that much. Okay. And lastly, for the last 2k counters, I have 2 of Otama. So out of all the options for 2k counters, I just thought that having this option to reduce power is pretty good, especially in the current meta with Purple Luffy, NL, and Sakazuki, where all of the units are very large. Having the option to reduce a unit's power to make it easier to hit into is actually pretty relevant. But at the moment, I'm only running 2 copies. Lastly, for defense, I wanted to show the 4 Hell's Judgment. So I like Hell's Judgment a lot in this deck. The main reason for this is, number 1, when you have 7 cost kit on the board, Hell's Judgment protects you from 2 8k swings. And the 8k line is actually very common in this meta because of NL as well as Sakazuki and Purple Luffy all playing very large units. For Purple Luffy, of course, it is closer to the 9 or 10k line instead with Kaido and Urashima. But if they are playing things like the 6 cost king, this also covers the 6 cost king attack if you don't have the 7 cost kit on board. For NL, it also covers the NL as well as the Katakuri, as well as the Yamato attacks, although you will need maybe an extra 1k or 2k guard, depending on whether or not you have the 7 kit. So these are the defensive options for the deck at the moment. So we're running 12 blockers, 10 2ks, and 4 of the Hell's Judgment. Another good option for a counter event for this deck is Radical Beam, because again, it does synergize pretty well with the 5 cost kit. You play 5 cost kit, you use leader effect, you get 1 Dawn open, you can also use the Radical Beam again. Okay, lastly, I have the top end for this deck. So the top end is actually kind of variable. You can choose between a few different units. For me, I'm running 2 of the 10 cost ST10 Rush Luffy. This is 10 cost, of course, his attack is 11k power and he can rush, so he can attack on the turn that he's played. And once per turn, if your opponent activates blocker, then you can KO a 8k power unit. So the Otama also does synergize with this, but other than that, being able to rush on the turn that he's played is very good for aggro against Purple Luffy as well as Sakazuki and NL. So the current meta units are all... Against the current meta units, this is actually a pretty good option, especially because all of them are running some level of blockers as well, and a lot of their units are 8k or less, which allow you to KO it with the Luffy. Lastly, and one of my favorite cards for this deck is the 10 cost SEC Gear 5th Luffy. His effect is Dawn -10, you may bottom deck all of your characters, and then after that, after the end of your turn, it is your turn again. And then activate main once per turn, pay 1 Dawn, you get 1 Dawn back. So I really like this card as a finisher for this deck. This deck, as well as Red Purple Luffy and Mono Purple Luffy, are some of the only decks that I think this card is very good in. And the reason for that being is that the finisher for this card becomes 9k plus 12k when you're using red purple Kid or Luffy or mono purple Luffy. And the reason behind that is that for the 10 Don turn, if you play down the Luffy, the following turn, when you get 2 Don back, you may use Luffy's effect, get 1 rested Don, attach 2 to your leader, and swing 7 plus Don minus 1 to get a 9k swing, and then you get a 12k swing from the SEC Luffy. So this is one of the cards that I quite like. Other than that, in the current meta, being able to just plop down the 10 cost and then use it as Onigashima every turn is pretty good as well. Other top end options include the 9 cost Newgate. 9 cost Newgate is actually really good in this deck as well. If you're playing down the 7 cost Kid and then the next turn you play 9 cost Newgate, so if you actually land this perfect curve of 3, 5, 7, 9, it's actually pretty tough because after that you have 8k leader base power. And then if you get to consecutively drop the Newgate, it's even more painful as well. Not only that, because of the 5 cost Kid effect, if you're playing the Newgate version, you can replace the Hell's Judgments with Radical Beam, because this way, when you're playing the perfect curve as well, 3, 5, 7, 9, every time you swing with the 7 cost Kid, you get 1 Don active and then you have 1 Don left for defense, which is really good as well. At the moment, this is my red purple Kid list. I think depending on the meta, you could also shift this entirely to a more Nami focused version. So being able to, for example, cut out the killer, heat, and wire, you could play Nami, you could play Nami, Chopper, and then maybe another 2 copies of each of these big bodies. Or you could be playing more Newgates, or you could play any other number of Straw Hat cards, replace this with Radical Beam, for example. So this deck is actually a little bit on the more flexible side of things. But it does feel like when you do draw this perfect curve, it is very strong. That is the deck at the moment. Other than these options right now, it would be really great if there was a Kid Pirates 2k counter so that you could replace the Usohachi here. You can see that the version I've currently prepared is very primarily purple focused. There's only 10 red cards total, 14 if you change these to Radical Beam. And at the moment, because of the low number of Kid Pirates type cards, sometimes the killer really does miss. So if you really want, you could also add this card, the Hitokiri Kamazo, because he is a Kid Pirate. And it is searchable, but at the moment there's not a lot of key 5 cost units that you can remove, except maybe like Magellan or Queen in the mirror. But at the moment I don't think it's worth it to add not great card just to improve your search target options. Even if you were to hit him on your search, if you had another target, you would take the other target anyway, right? So at the moment I think this is what I would run. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on X/Twitter and also on Twitch, where I do make other content as well. That being said, thank you again so much for watching. Have a great day ahead and peace out.